everyone, and welcome to Module 3. This week we're dealing with locators, constraints, and controllers. So you already have a nice skeleton set up. It should be fit, nicely in the center of your model. Your hierarchy should be all set. Everything's labeled. We should check the orientation, of your joints. To do that, it's actually pretty simple. You can grab your main joint, or you can go to Select, Hierarchy, and that makes sure to grab all of them. And then you can go to Display, Transform Display, Local Rotation Axis. Now, what we want here is the X is always going to point down the chain. So the parent is going to point down and the X axis to the child and so forth. If you notice that yours isn't set up that way, please let me know and we can adjust it. This is how you're going to get the best bend set up. So last week we talked about IK handles. So I've got this left foot IK already set up. If these axis things, labels get in your way, you just go to Display, Transform Display, and hit it again. And that's how you can toggle it on and off. So this week we're going to create locators and NURBS curves and actually use some different type of constraints. You'll always be in the rigging drop-down and constrain here. You see we have a bunch of options. For what we're going to be dealing with today in this video, we're going to be using a parent constraint, but I'm going to give you a link that explains kind of what every constraint is, just so you can really find out what's the best for each situation. Alright, so let's set up one for this IK handle on the foot. So I'm going to create a NURBS curve. I have mine set up that when I click it, it automatically goes in the center. You may click and then click and drag depending upon your setup. I'm going to scale mine, make it a little bit oblong here. And what we're creating are just easier ways for us to control our rig. It's nice that we can use our outliner and grab our, left foot IK or whatever you've labeled it. But if you're kind of in the viewport and in the zone, it's hard. It's like, where's that handle? I'm not sure. Well, we can create these nice, NURBS curves to kind of deal with it. You can always hit Control D or Command D to duplicate it, have one for the other foot. You're going to want to make sure that you're constantly checking, in all of your views to make sure you're actually centered over the foot. All right. So with constraints and parenting and all that kind of stuff, you're going to want to make sure that you select your locator or controller. So I want to make sure that I actually label this first. Nice, created a few here. So I will call this left foot controller. I never use spaces, I use capital letters. I would recommend that you either use capital letters or underscores. Sometimes Maya just gets a little confused with spaces, especially if you have a lot going on. So you can either use the viewport and just make sure you hold Shift, or if it's easy for you, you can use the outliner. So I'm just going to grab my, again, the NURBS curve, then the IK handle. I'm going to go to Constrain, Parent. You'll see here, Result, we have a constraint on it. Now if I click on that NURBS curve or circle, you can see that that grabs my IK handle. I can move it, and now that's just a nice way to grab it without actually having to get the IK handle. Eventually you're going to get kind of a long list here and we'll be parenting a lot. But it'll be a really great way to get everything. Alright, so we're going to be looking for a bunch of these. Your final assignment calls for foot rolling, toe ball heel, so that when we actually go to create a walk cycle, we're able to do that. Now for this, and I apologize, they, there are different ways to go about this, but the easiest one is for us to actually add a third joint in our foot. Now sorry about that, my computer froze. But as I was saying, what you're going to do is just move your toe joint back. We could call it now maybe midfoot or roll or whatever you want. Midfoot. And then we're going to just go to skeleton, create joints, click on that mid one, and then we'll have our toe. It'll still follow the chain, and we can name this one toe. And we can look in our hierarchy here just in case, make sure that our toe actually is in the hierarchy as we want. I'm going to post another video that I found helped me to do this toe roll, and I'll post a couple tutorials to help get all the joints set up and the controllers set up for the joints. And you should be all set, and then this week you'll be turning in the rig complete with all the controllers and locators set up. Again, we haven't, make sure this is actually adjusted, right? We're not actually binding this to the skin yet, so all you're going to have is a nice laid out labeled skeleton, and then we'll start actually binding it, applying weights to get our mesh to actually flow with it. So as always, let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you later.